Order, and we'll start with roll call, please.
Michelle Brecken,
Here.
DJ Donnelly,
Here.
Stephanie Ederman,
Here.
Randy Heidman,
Here.
Sarah Spear,
Here.
John Ward,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh my gosh. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, enough of this computer, I guess.
All right, this meeting of the Brainerd School Board is being conducted in accordance with Minnesota Statutes 13D.02. This meeting is being recorded. Access to the recording is available on the school district's YouTube channel. And we've got several changes to the agenda before we look for approval. Under old business, we'll be striking the nominations for the election of officers. Under new business, striking the resolution for dissolution and withdrawal from PBEC, and also the approval to pursue a legislative bill for money transfer. And we'll also be adding under new business approval for a recommendation and offer, a contract offer that was overlooked.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can we take the deletes one by one with a motion and discussion, please?
What we can do is make a motion to approve the agenda and then have discussion about it with the deletions.
Okay, we'll try that and I'll see if it works. And if it doesn't, I'll come back with something else.
All right,
I'll make a motion to
that's the
approve it.
spirit.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion by Director Edelman and a second by Director Brecken.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
so on the Paul Bunyan Education Co-op, I don't even know why we need to do, I want it on the agenda. I don't care if it's tonight or next month or when it is. I won't vote for that.
Okay, well
And,
then you'll have to vote.
What's that?
Then you'll be able to vote, so then you're gonna vote no, I guess.
My point is this, Madam Chair, if I can continue, please. You know, why do we have to move it to a different night? Why can't we keep it on the agenda, discuss it tonight and vote on it tonight? Same thing with the $1 million legislation. Same thing with the construction $1 million. That's legislation that can help our revenue. And as I understand it, the delegation has said that they would sponsor that and support that as long as the school board supports it. This again is an opportunity for us to recover $1 million in our general fund. But the legislation, the legislature is in short session. So that means that any delay is critical in getting significant legislation passed. So that should be on the agenda tonight also. The officers, that's fine for delay because I think we were going to wait until after the superintendent was all okayed, which hasn't been done yet. And I have no problem with the ad. So having said that, so you're going to vote. We're going to vote on it, right? Can't we do that individually and say, you know, in other words, I'd make a motion to not remove the Paul Bunyan Education Co-op agenda item.
John, I would like to learn more about the Paul Bunyan Education Co-op, and we're supposed to do that on Monday.
I think that was the purpose of removing it was, I think there was not enough information
Yes.
for the board to make a good decision. And so I want to honor that.
I want to make sure the board understands that a meeting Monday will not change. You're talking about ramifications for a school district for years and years and years, and you're talking about ramifications for students with special needs. You're talking about ramification for staff for special education. Most districts that have done this have taken a 2 to 3 year process. And that's what I want to do. I want to take a 2 to 3 year process. Plus, the other thing is, the reason that I was in support of talking about the Paul Bunyan Education Co-op in cuts was not to cut it, it was to generate more revenue. And we've heard from some of our contestants for our superintendent that there's 2 ways that we can generate more revenue from the co-op: raise the fiscal agent fee, or raise the rent. So that is giving it till Monday is ridiculous, because you're not going to learn enough by Monday to make a sound decision. The new superintendent should be involved in this process, if not totally involved in the planning for the future. The $1 million construction loan thing needs to happen now in order to make it possible. We're talking about cuts versus revenue. There's lots of reasons why we should have those 3, at least those 2 items on. I don't care about the officers. Those 2 items on tonight for sure. That's very, very important for all of my board colleagues to understand. There's a timing thing with the $1 million construction transfer into the general fund. There's a significant learning curve to talk about the Paul Bunyan Educational Co-op. And it isn't going to happen between now and Monday, quite frankly. So you go ahead and go to the vote. I'll vote. Obviously, it'll be a voice vote, and I'll come back and make my own motions and see what happens.
Okay, so let's proceed. We've got a motion on the table right now for the approval of the agenda as amended. And any further discussion?
I have the floor.
Yes.
John, I agree with you to a certain extent. What I would like to accomplish is learning a little bit more about the finances. There's no one on this board that wants to get rid of educational opportunities for special ed students that have disabilities. That's furthest from at least for me. And I would just like to know a little bit more about it so I could at least make an informed decision. We talked about the committee meeting, changing that to a workshop. I don't think it's been finalized yet, but that was a point of discussion. I support Paul Bunyan Education Cooperative from the standpoint of, let's talk about it. Let's find out what's working, what's not working. Can the finances change? Are there any grants out there? Is there any other money? We know we're getting shorted from the state, et cetera. So the reason I think we wanted to pull it is to be able to talk about it more at a workshop and get input from people you almost have to hire a forensic auditor from MIT to figure out how these co-ops are financed. It's crazy. And that's just where I stand. I'm with you on more discussion, et cetera. And I think we can accomplish a little bit of it before March 1st, because that's kind of our deadline. And that's kind of where I'm at. But I'm with you from the standpoint of, it's very important, and we don't want to eliminate educational opportunities for these children who have disabilities. That's absolutely insane to even think that. So I'm not in that camp. So that's all I can speak to, John.
Director Heidman, thank you for that comment, and I appreciate and respect it. My point is, when you do the research on it, when all of you board members do the research on it, and you look at other districts that have done this in the state of Minnesota, they have found 2 different things out. Number one, they've had to hire more staff than they thought they were going to, so there wasn't the cost savings, and especially for the what's called low incidence staff. Those kind of special kids that have real special needs, and there's just not available staff for those people. And the second thing is, they thought that they put a 2 to 3 year plan together before they did anything like this. We were given this notice 5 days ago. 5 days ago. And a movement like this and a suggestion like this is, I'm appalled that our administration team has asked us to do this kind of thinking and process in 5 days when there's so many kids and staff and families going to be negatively impacted by this without some kind of a futuristic, well thought out plan. And we heard that from our superintendent candidates as well. So Randy, I appreciate and respect that. And you know, obviously, I got 5 pages of notes, and I'll read every one of them when we have this work session, if that's what it comes down to educate you guys. I spent over 20 years of my career of 34 years in special education. I understand it. I know it. I've worked with co-ops throughout the state. I understand them. I know them. I'm the board delegate for the co-op, and I didn't know a thing about this. I knew that we were doing a fiscal analysis. I didn't know this was going to be an agenda item until just like the rest of you, until 5 days ago. That's appalling from our administrative staff, period. And am I upset? You're dang right I'm upset, because it's going to impact our kids that have special needs. And why should they be disproportionately affected negatively by lack of communication from our administrative staff? And the candidate, you
John,
heard that
this
from our
isn't fair.
superintendent
Call the
candidate.
question.
You heard? No, DJ, don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. I'm not interrupting you.
This is my meeting too, John.
Yeah, I know that, DJ, and you'll get
Well,
your
you're
chance.
not even on the
You're always
agenda.
interrupting.
Okay.
Quit interrupting me, DJ.
Let's
Quit
take a
interrupting
breath
me.
here for a second. We're still on the first motion of this meeting, and we've got a ways to go.
Yeah.
And I know we're really passionate about this topic, and I'm glad that we are. That's it. It feels good that we're thinking about kids and talking about kids and being passionate about kids. And we've got a motion on the table. And John, thank you for sharing what's been on your mind. Appreciate that. And I think let's move on with the meeting and come back to this as we need to. All right, so we've got a motion on the table to approve the agenda. We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Randy Heidman,
Yes.
Sarah Spear,
Yes.
John Ward,
No.
Michelle Brecken,
Yes.
TJ Dondelinger,
Yes.
Stephanie Etterman,
Yes.
Carrie Spackle.
Thanks, Kelly. All right, we've got.
Madam Chair,
Yes, John.
I'd like to move that the Paul Bunyan Education Cooperative agenda items stay on the agenda.
There's a motion to keep the PBEC on the agenda. Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of a second.
You have to ask 3 times.
My apologies. Is there a second?
Is there a time to discuss this?
Yeah, on Monday in the workshop.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
So, John, can I just say that I totally hear what you're saying. I 100% agree with your position. I do think because it's so complicated and we have not even seen the audit, that we do our due diligence to look at the audit and have some discussion. It doesn't mean your opinion's gonna change, but at least all of us will have a better understanding of where we're sitting.
Thank you, Director Brecken. I did send all you board members the audit and other information about the Paul Bunyan Co-op previously to this meeting, so I hope that you will look at it.
I did look at it. I didn't really understand it. So,
That's the problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like this is dying a death. I mean, that's my point, is that we're gonna talk about it Monday. So
Yes.
in a workshop, when we can
Right.
ask questions and we'll
Yeah.
have help, and you can get back to it, John. I'm not,
Yeah, I agree with that.
We hear your passion, sir.
Yes, for sure. Thank you for that. All right, so, moving in.
So did we vote on my motion, Madam Chair?
I'm sorry, it died for
Because
lack
you
of.
haven't asked 3 times yet.
Oh, I apologize. How many times did I ask?
Two.
twice.
Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. We'll move on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll move on to recognitions, and I'll read these if you guys are okay with that. We've got the Excel Award, Excellence in Community Education and Leadership. It's a unique recognition program designed exclusively for Minnesota high school juniors who are active in school activities, leaders in their schools, and who demonstrate a strong commitment to community service. I'd like to say congratulations to this year's Excel Award recipients, Madeline Ball and Brady Davison. And then the AAA Award, which is given out every year, the Academics, Arts, and Athletics Award, commonly known as a AAA Award, honors high school seniors throughout the state who have a 3.0 higher grade point average and who participate in Minnesota State High School League-sponsored athletic and fine arts activities. And congratulations to this year's recipients, Gabriella Bratney and Austin Nichols, all four of those students well-deserving. Congratulations to Mary Eklund Tallis for being selected as the 2026 Minnesota Association Alternative Programs Staff Person of the Year. I saw pictures of that posted the other day, and it looked like an awesome celebration, so congratulations to her. And congratulations to the legendary Women Hall of Fame Class of 2026, Dr. Tori Barr, Judy Bialka, Teresa Thiesing-Goebel, Cheryl Wentworth-Matheson, and Shayla Paradise. The celebration and honoring of those folks will happen on March 30th, so congratulations to them. Oh, and one more hot off the press from Kelly that came directly from the meet. Congratulations to Piper Grillo and Cece Ruzinski. They competed in the Minnesota State High School League State Alpine meet today, and Piper Grillo took third place. So awesome.
Very awesome.
Yeah.
See Andy Rankin was in the paper today.
Next up, we've got public input. A member of the public can address the board during this time. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Complaints or allegations against students or employees may not be discussed due to data privacy. Complaints or allegations must be submitted in writing to Superintendent Grant. The Board of Education / Superintendent will not converse with guests to address the topics discussed at that time. And we do have 2 folks for public input tonight. Karen Johnson, we'll start with you, please.
Thank you. As you said, Sarah, my name's Karen Johnson. Been lucky enough to have 2 girls graduate from this school system. One went on to become a CPA in town, and one is a nurse practitioner. So I had to reach out to them to make sure I had all the schools. They attended Lowell School. They were walkers. And then they also attended Mississippi Horizons. I think I've got that name right. Franklin, one graduated from Brainerd High School and one from AEC. And one played ball with Director Ward's daughter. My daughter played softball. So they had a great education. I'm reaching out more or less to say thank you. I also worked at the orthopedic clinic for many years. And one thing when we recruited physicians, well, number one, they probably asked about living on the lake and our quality of life. But then the second thing always was school systems. They reached out frequently to the superintendent of schools. They did their homework. They looked to see the quality of our schools. And I can tell you that they selected our area frequently as a result of our schools. So hats off for many years. I've been here over 45 years. I also want to mention that since I retired, I've been lucky enough to volunteer over at Garfield School. I have 2 grands there, 2 granddaughters there. Today I got to be Grandma Karen in the kindergarten class. It brings me nothing but pure joy. I've helped since I've retired with reading, with sight words, and I can tell you firsthand, which I think you all know, the work that is done by our schools is phenomenal. From the moment you walk into the schools, and hats off to every school having the same blue entrance. Because you come into a school and you don't know where to go. In our school system, you know where to go. Every school is marked that way. But I can't overstate, from teachers to ancillary staff, the cafeteria, the janitorial staff, it's phenomenal. And my oldest granddaughter really struggled with reading, so they developed a IED plan, IEP. It's like medical, a lot of different abbreviations. But I can tell you she's now a 4th grader and likes to read. And since it's I Love to Read Month, shout out, because if you don't learn how to read and don't have those skills, we all know that that really can be detrimental. High school diploma means so much. So I want to give a shout out to a couple former teachers. I reached out to my girls. One said Mr. Marone, Chuck Marone, who taught for years at Lowell. And then my other daughter said Mrs. Sweeney, who taught at AEC. And she learned to quilt with the love of math. So I want to give a shout out to our teachers, our staff. I think we do a phenomenal job. And if I hear anybody complain or talk about a school, I'll say, when was the last time you entered a school system? Because I think you need to get there and see what happens firsthand. So thank you all, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Daryl Peterson, please.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to say a word tonight. Thank you very much for being school board members and superintendent and all the staff members. I would agree with Karen, amazing school district. My own kids benefited greatly by being here. And I just have a little story to share with you. Dr. Jim Roloffs from Brainerd just published a book called Buddy, subtitle, A Love Story of Overcoming Cerebral Palsy, Abandonment, and Poverty. I'm just going to read one little paragraph at the back here. Some are born with every advantage. Buddy Brown was born with every obstacle. Cerebral palsy was present at birth, and he was abandoned by his mother by age 2. He persevered through poverty and family turmoil. Here's the little story. He'd had multiple parents, multiple states he lived in, et cetera. By the time he got to 3rd grade, moved to this area, went to school. On the first day of school, the principal took him on a tour of the building. And little Buddy wondered what that was all about. He never had that happen before. While the principal was touring him around the building, the teacher for the 3rd grade class let her students know what Buddy's circumstances were, the tough things he'd faced in his life. He lunged when he walked. He couldn't speak very well. One arm didn't work. And she said, we are going to do things differently. And she proceeded to tell them, no bullying, no teasing, you be supportive, you help this little guy to be successful. And lo and behold, miracles happened. They did. And it happened, it continued in the years following, people sticking up and helping and encouraging him. And this book is a story of his successful life. So my little word as I'm meeting with you today is thanks to you, thanks to all these teachers who were here last night, thanks to all the other members of the school district who help people who have challenges to be successful, who help all the students in this district to be successful. Blessings on your work as you move forward into the future. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 7, the approval of the minutes. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You gotta do them one at a time, or probably?
We can do them all at once.
Can we?
All right.
Yes.
I make a motion, we approve all of the minutes from January 12th to February 2nd.
I'll second it.
Here, here. All right, we've got a motion from Director Brecken, a second from Director Ederman. We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Sarah Spear,
Yes.
John Ward,
Yes.
Jill Brecken,
Yes.
TJ Dondelinger,
Yes.
Stephanie Ederman,
Yes.
Randy Heidel.
Yes.
Thanks, Kelly. And we'll take a look at the consent calendar.
Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to pull those curtains and the boiler update. I think I know I think I understand it, what's going on, but it's a lot of money. It's $1 million. So no one said how we're paying for it. You know, it just seems a little odd that it's in the consent calendar to me. Does that make sense? Does anybody else feel like that?
I felt like it, and it seemed like they only got one proposal on it from Sourcewell. When you go out and get bids, don't you think you should get, I only saw one bid.
Sourcewell gets the bids.
Oh, they get all the bids, okay. and
So
then
these
they-
guys have seen the bids, is what the deal is. That's what Sourcewell does for us,
Okay,
is that right, Peter?
Yes.
So
okay,
they go out and they already got 4 bids, and then we're only seeing the one that they want to take.
okay. Gotcha.
Does anyone else have any questions on these expenditures, or am I the only one?
I thought it was a lot of money to spend on curtains, the gyms, I mean,
It's $1 million.
I know. Do they really, how long do the curtains last? Do they really need them?
Well, first of all, They have to meet criteria of being fire retardant,
Okay,
and the average length of a lifetime of curtains is probably 15 years. 20 is pushing it. So it's an investment that is expensive, but this isn't like curtains in your house. Let me
No,
put it
yeah.
that way.
yeah,
They're the ones that divide the gym, aren't
yes,
they?
they're the
Right.
ones that
Okay.
go up and down,
And then,
They're pretty heavy.
yes.
Very heavy.
and I take it we need new basketball hoops?
Pardon?
We need new basketball hoops too, cause that's 185,000. That's why I thought maybe we could just go through this.
Well, we can.
I'd appreciate that if someone,
I don't have a problem with that.
So we'll pull off
I mean, we just like.
the
broken, so we just
curtain
gotta-
replacement proposal, both of those, and the boiler upgrades, and make that its own motion.
Sure.
Alright. We'll move that to action items, number 2, Kelly.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Director Ward?
Also, I want to point out that the donation and grant line, the church has really stepped up this month and donated a lot of money to a lot of organizations within our schools. And I just want to point that out, that our faith community is really, really doing well for us, and we so much appreciate it. So, and there's others too, but this month, it seemed like it was, I don't know if they took up special collections or what. If they're Catholics, they probably took up special collections, I'll tell you that. But anyhow, thank you to the faith community.
Yep, I saw that, John.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a
thank
Good
you.
point.
Thanks for pointing that out. All right, we'll take a motion to approve the consent calendar with the removal of those 3 items.
Motion.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Director Donalinger, a second by Director Brecken. Any further discussion? If not, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
John Ward,
Yes.
Jill Brecken,
Yes.
BJ Dundlinger.
Yes.
Stephanie Etterman,
Yes,
Randy Heidman,
Yes.
Sarah Spear.
Yes. All right, moving on to presentations, we have with us a special guest tonight, Hazel Reinhardt, who is going to, she put together a study on our long-range enrollment and is bringing us some results on that tonight. And Peter, I'll let you, if you want to do an introduction.
So for those of you in attendance, Hazel Reinhardt is a state demographer. She's been doing this, I don't know, Hazel, 50 years?
Yeah, yes, not quite.
Not quite, but she is really the most valued expert in the state of Minnesota when it comes for demography studies. I worked with her when I was at Owatonna. Just about every school district in the state that has had some type of a demography study, they go to Hazel. I want to compare her to Peter Leatherman and the Morrison Group when they do a study for the district about whether or not you should do a levy or a bond and so forth. They know all the data without even thinking about it. Hazel's identical. Those numbers are rolling in her head all the time, and she can recite probably every school district that's gone through an enrollment study. We asked her to do this because of the fact that as we prepare for some significant budget reductions, I think it was important for us to know how do those reductions impact our planning and our programming, but more importantly, what do the next 5 to 7 years look like for our student population? And the only thing I can say is in her opening statement, she said it was quite a somber data collection. So I'm going to let Hazel walk us through the results of her study and what we should anticipate between now and about 30, 32, 33, and what the ramifications can be for this district.
Well, thank you very much, Peter, for that very generous introduction. I have been doing specifically school enrollment projections since 1991. I've done other population projections, really started in this field in the 70s. And I've worked in well over 200 school districts in about 6 states. And obviously, because I live in Minnesota, most of the districts are in Minnesota, but as far away as Colorado, I have a number of clients in Colorado, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, South Dakota. So quite a range of experience. And I'm going to ask you to project it. I always think that we will reduce technical problems if somebody else shares the screen at the location. So I hope that's true this evening. So who's going to bring up the presentation? The presentation that I'm going to show you is kind of a summary of the larger report. The report can be very heavy in numbers, and I find that I have more enthusiasm for these numbers than many of my audience members. So I've tried to put more things in visuals and the like. So the first thing we want to do is we want to look back a bit, take a quick look at that. And I think we're ahead of ourselves here. And to say to you, the past does matter. Trends don't just pop up. They usually have been around for a while. And so we want to see what looking back tells us. And if we look back at the past 10 years, we can go to the next slide now. We see a couple of things. One thing is that the district's resident school age population has decreased. By that I mean that there are fewer school age kids residing in the district in 2025, 26 than there were in 2015, 16. And the resident enrollment in the Brainerd Public Schools decreased by 893 students, or about 15% in those 10 years. Total enrollment, interestingly, decreased only by 3 more students, 896, or shy of 14%. So what we know from this is that the decline in overall enrollment is almost totally a result of the decline in resident enrollment. And non-residents account for 6.6% of your total enrollment in 25-26, which is not a small percentage, but it's by no means a large percentage that we often see in some other districts. Next slide. Here we're looking at K-12 enrollment in the Brainerd Public Schools. And what I'd like to really have you focus on is that from 2015-16 through 2019-20, pre-pandemic, the numbers moved around a little bit. But then as you can see, in 2021, the pandemic year, enrollment dropped. No surprise there, no surprise. But then what you will notice here is that enrollment never recovered. It kept on declining. And we will see some of the reasons for that in the next slides. So what we can see is a very definite trend post-pandemic. Now, we aren't able to find data for non-public and homeschool prior to 21, 22, but I'll have you take a look at that first line, which is an open enrollment out. And in the 10 years, it went from 444 now to the most recent year of 735. So we see the loss of resident students to other school districts. In the small sort of greenish line there, charters, we started out with 90 and we're at 85. During the pandemic, the number was up a little bit, but that is not a major reason for the decline in enrollment. Then if you look at that dark blue line represents non-public schools, and the first data year I have is 21-22. It was 498. It's now at 666. That has become a major factor in reducing your enrollment. And then homeschool has gone from 390 something to what's the number here? 335, from 290 to 335. So we've also had the loss to homeschools. But it's really the non-publics, 3 new non-publics in the last, since post-pandemic, and then the open enrollment out. So it's that competition. These are residents of the district that are not attending the Brainerd Public Schools. Next slide. Then I'm looking at the percent education choices and comparing your percentages to the state of Minnesota as a whole. And this is for 24-25, which is the most recent year that there's statewide data. And as you can see, what I call non-public settings, a higher percentage of your residents are in non-public settings than statewide. It's higher in both the traditional brick and mortar schools and also in home schools. That 4.6% is a pretty robust percentage. Then 9.5% of all enrolled K-12 students in Minnesota open enroll, and you can see that for yours out, it should not our, out at 10.2% of the school age population, and 24-25, 6.2% in. So you're running a little higher there. And then as you can see, you have nowhere near the loss to charter schools as statewide. Your capture rate, some 73.7% of the available total compared to the statewide of 71.2. So you can get a sense of where competition is having its largest effect. Okay, next slide. Now, another very, very key finding is that births have declined. And the term here, resident births, has a very specific meaning. It means the mother has on the birth certificate listed an address that can be coded to the state of Minnesota, to Crow Wing County, whatever, without regard to where the child was born. And as we can see, we've had a significant decline in births in Minnesota. 12.2% from 2009 to 24, which is the years we're really looking at, and will take us to about 2029, 30. And in Crow Wing County, the decline in resident births is almost 24%. So it's almost double the decline in the state. And what we know, and we'll see some numbers, that the correlation between kindergarten students and resident births is a very close one in Crow Wing County. Next slide, please. And here I'm showing you the resident live births for Crow Wing County, starting out in 2009 at 784, and in 24 at 597. So you can see that decline. And it moved around a little bit, but fairly consistent decline over time. Okay, the next slide. School age population, school population, we want to treat it as we would treat any other population and understand what underlies the change. So what this table does is, on the leftmost columns, I have the year-to-year change, and then the percentage of the change year to year. And as you can see, that 896 student decline. Then we have the two right columns. The first, natural increase, decrease, and as it says, that is the measure between the size of the incoming kindergarten and the previous year's grade 12. And so when it's a negative number, it means the incoming kindergarten is smaller than the previous year's grade 12, or in other words, you're taking in fewer students than you graduated out. And if you look at that over the 10-year period, you can see that those numbers have been getting larger, and that cost the enrollment, if you will, 1,261 students. And then net migration measures the number of students who move in or out of the district, make transfers between education options, or drop out of school. And you can see that those numbers have been positive every year except for the year of the pandemic, which is what we would expect. And that added 365 students. And the combination of the natural increase, decrease, and the net migration is the total change. So what this tells us is that your enrollment decline was being driven by the fact that you had ever smaller numbers of kindergarten students coming in compared to the number of seniors the previous spring. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, let's now turn to the future. 26, 27 to 35, 36. Okay. First of all, in your case, there are a lot of indications that enrollment will continue to decline. Excuse me. And one of them is the current enrollment by grade. What I've done here is for illustration, simply taken the number of average number of elementary students, middle school students, and high school students. And we can see that as these students age forward, we're aging forward fewer and fewer students. Excuse me. And that really tells us that enrollment will decline unless kindergarten is substantially larger. And we know that kindergarten decreased 29% in the past 10 years, going from 478 students to 339. So number one, current enrollment tells us already that enrollment is going to continue to decline unless there's huge, huge increase in kindergarten size. Next slide, please. So in 10 years, the model I use shows that enrollment will continue to decline, 575 this year, to 4,229 to 4,399. Is a percentage decline of 21 to 24% in 10 years. You can see the decline of 1,176 to 1,346 students. I have made 4 projections with different assumptions. There's 170 student difference between the highest and lowest. And those components of change show that net migration will be comparable but slightly less than it was in the past 10 years, and that natural decrease will be slightly less also than it was in the recent past. So we have those trends continuing. And then here you see the 2 projections next to each other. They're very, very close to each other. Next slide, please. And then I've taken these projections and looked at them from K5, 6, 8, and 9, 12. And what's significant here is that if you look even at the highest projection in 5 years, you have a loss of about 320 K5 students. And then you'll see it's kind of flat in the next 5 years. At the middle school, you have a loss of 100 and some. And then that number continues to drop, more so really than the K5. And then at 9, 12, we see this decline from 2,000 to about 1,700. And then it continues to decline. Now, what's important about this slide and what it tells us, that all of the K5 students in the next 5 years have already been born, that we're not projecting births. We're only projecting in this the number who will enter school, not the number who will be born. In the middle school, the birth projections and kindergarten projections make no difference on the first 5 years. Those are only the survival rates. They only affect the projections after 2030. And then at high school, even in 2035, 36, only one high school, grade 9, is affected by the kindergarten projections throughout this time period. That everything else at the high school is all about those survival rates. That is the movement from grade to grade. So we get a sense of what this decline is likely to be. and where it's to will happen and when it will happen at the various grade levels. Next slide, please. So now let's analyze what's behind these projections, the components. They're made via the standard way of making population projections, a cohort survival method. I describe it as both simple and complex. It ages each grade by moving it to the next higher grade in the following year. And because mortality is so low among school-age children in a district the size of Brainerd, we could use the mortality rates and we would not be projecting any deaths. So what we're seeing is really the movement in and out of the district, transfers between education options and the like. Now, this requires that we make kindergarten projections, and we're going to use resident births as the proxy. We've seen there's a close relationship between them. And that net migration or survival rates in the grade-to-grade projections. Net migration is the raw number, the survival rate is the percentage. So if the number of students in kindergarten appear in grade 1, the survival rate would be 1.000. Okay. So let's look at this. Now, the first thing we will look at, we know that we have the resident births for Crow Wing County, and we want to take a look at what percentage of Brainerd Public Schools kindergarten class attend or are part of that pool, or the percentage of the pool attending Brainerd Public Schools. Now, notice that I use the word pool. Births are reported on a calendar year, and you have to be age 5 by September 1st to enter kindergarten. So I need to adjust that for the number of births of kids that will be turning 6 and those who will be remain at 5 for a period of time. And it's about a third. So I create this pool, and I then look at the percent of students that the Brainerd Public Schools captured. And you can see that until the pandemic, you had one higher year, but it was around 62%, somewhere in there. It dropped down to 55%, recovered to about 63%, dropped again. But now the past 2 years, it's been at 52%. And we know the number of students that we can see in the non-public schools, some of the other competitive factors that have come into play. Okay, next slide, please. So in making the projections, the average of the past 2 years was 52.29%. And I chose to take 0.71 percentage points less, not as a percent, but points less for the low and for the high, which put it at 51.58. And then for the high, I added that, so I got to a 53%. This results in a difference of 83 students over the 10 years. Now, I chose not to take a low below this, although it could well. A high, I don't think 53 is too low. I see it as very difficult for you to get back to 62% without the closure of some of these non-publics and a decline in open enrollment out and all of these things. So I think that we have in these percentages something that is realistic, is likely to happen. And then longer term, because now I have to make projections on births between 2030 and 35, I use the projections made by the Minnesota State Demography Center for Crow Wing County 0-year-olds. And the advantage of using those numbers is that anytime you project larger populations and have to deal with the whole, you're likely to have a better projection than just making an individual county projection. Next slide, please. And so here at this table, I show you the kindergarten pool, and the bolded numbers through 2029-30 are those based on actual births. And across the top row, it's in italics, but probably can't see that. You can see the 339 that were enrolled in 25-26. And then simply the projections, the low is that 51.58 multiplied against the pool or the 53. And so you can see that projections, how the projections look. Now, what I think is especially noteworthy and want to call your attention to is the decline in the pool is concentrated in the years for which we have births. That if you look at the pool in the projection of births, it really holds it somewhere at the 606 range, or maybe even a little higher. So as we go out into the future, the pool is being held at its current size. If we go out beyond that, we know the pool will decline. But in this period of time, we're holding it at about where it was as of 29-30. But you see the decline that occurs from those actual births. And then we see by 35-36, a kindergarten class of 316 or 324, somewhere there compared to the 339. Next slide, please. Now, why? Okay, well, one is we are experiencing lower fertility, in fact, very low fertility. And by that, I mean the number of births per woman at the end of her childbearing years. And a standard measure is that replacement fertility, which will hold a population stable, is 2.11 children per woman at the end of childbearing. Minnesota in 2023 was at 1.73, the US at 1.62. We still in the United States have the highest fertility of any developed country. The Chinese, it's at 1. 1.3 is fairly common in many European countries. So we still have more kids, but we are not replacing ourselves, okay? And then fertility varies by race, ethnicity, and urban rural, and it's lowest for white non-Hispanic women. The other factor driving this is the aging of the population. And this is an entire structural shift. And maybe the best way to think about this is that in 1970 and 1980, if you constructed population by an age-sex pyramid, it was indeed a pyramid in shape. Now it basically looks like a rectangle standing on end. And so we don't have younger people coming up to increase births as we had, if you think about since the Second World War especially. And in fact, the women of prime childbearing age, which is now 25 to 34, will decrease in number in the next 10 years. And generally, we will have slower growth. Immigration from abroad has kept Minnesota growing for more than 25 years, and that does not appear to be what will be happening in the next few years. Now, that said, Crow Wing County's population is projected to increase, but not the youth population. The county will continue to grow, but not in kids. Now, when we think of this net migration survival rates, except for the pandemic year, which we saw in one of those earlier slides, it's been positive for the past 10 years. And there are three patterns that are noteworthy. One is a very erratic pattern between kindergarten and grade 1. And it's often negative. That is, that kids start out in the kindergarten, the same number declines by the time they enter grade 1. And sometimes the numbers are very big and then very small, so there's something very erratic there. The other thing that's very noteworthy is that there's a large inflow between grade 8 and grade 9, the beginning of high school. And that has in fact increased. That number has increased in the past 4 years. This is fairly typical for Minnesota public school systems because most private schools don't offer high school, so there's a flow into the public high schools. Then another thing is that you have what appears to be net in-migration between grades 11 and 12. But this most likely reflects the alternative learning centers or other special programs where students remain at grade 12 for more than 1 year, often called super seniors or some other term. So that appears in the net migration, but it is not really a movement of students, it's just a retention of students. Okay, next slide, please. So 2 migration assumptions, one based on the past 2 years, and I just remind you that the net numbers were 62 and 56 there, and the high one is based on the past 4 years, and the net numbers were 68, 67, 62, and 56. And survival rates lower between grades 8 and 9 and 11 and 12 is a case in the high one, which just is a quirk. So when you see the next slide, when I look at what's the difference, I hold the same kindergarten assumption, so I can see the effect of these 2 migration things. We basically have less than 100 students difference in total. You can see what it is at K5, 6, 8, and 9, 12. So what this all tells us, it really comes down to the size of that kindergarten class. Okay, next slide. Now, what could make these district-wide projections too high or too low? Well, if the projected kindergarten is too high, which can stem from 2 things, either the pool is too large or the capture rate that decreases, or more district residents choose other education options, or too low, that the projected kindergarten pool is too small, or your capture rate increases, or more district residents choose the Brainerd public schools. My experience across all the states I've worked in is that that enrollment in non-public schools can go up and down. Homeschooling numbers have tended to go up over time. And I am just not familiar with any school district that has really significantly reduced the number of students leaving through open enrollment. They sometimes are able to increase the number of students entering through open enrollment, but very difficult to stop the flow out. So next slide. What about housing? Will it make a difference? In essence, can you have enough development to make a difference? And I'm showing you your housing numbers here, and they are a little more complicated than they are some places because the county, and they have pulled the numbers to correspond to the Brainerd School District. So this is the Brainerd School District numbers, not the whole county, is that they separate single family units by whether they're homesteaded or not. And numbers aren't final for 2025, but as you can see from this, the numbers have not been going up for single family homes. Now, why is this important? Because single family detached homes have the highest yield per unit for school-age children. Apartment units, townhomes have much, much lower yields, so that you really need single family detached units to produce school-age children. What these numbers say, this is nowhere near the level that would be required to have a substantial change in the population. And I could show you, especially metro area districts here, they've had 5,000 new single family homes in a 5-year period and still had enrollment decline. So the factor driving this is the level of fertility and this changing, shifting age structure to an older population. So with that, I would say thank you very much. I'd be happy to answer any questions or, yes, happy to answer any questions. I'm sorry about all the coughing.
Thank you, Hazel. Any questions?
I just want to say that projecting declines of around 20% is not unusual. It's a pretty common percentage decline that I'm seeing.
Hazel, Madam Chair,
Yes.
Hazel, you just said that you've seen this in a number of school districts. Have you seen any kind of project that those school districts have done to try to help with the school population?
Well, yeah, you're faced with the same issue that national governments face. There's been no known effort in the world where national governments have been able to raise fertility with whatever incentives they come up with. Doesn't work. The only thing we know is that the Chinese were very successful at lowering it and now would like to raise it and are unable to do so.
Okay, Hazel, thank you. I was hoping that you had some kind of a magic wand.
Yeah. I think the thing, and I'm not suggesting it's easy, and it may not be achievable, but to very carefully look at what's driving this growth in non-public schools, what's driving open enrollment out, because those are the things that you at least have some influence over. I mean, we can't influence how many kids people have. I mean, that just doesn't seem to work, but we have at least some potential to influence those other things.
Yep.
There, I have a couple of things. Hazel, thank you for this work. I put down some things I thought were really key points. From 2018-19, we had 6,577 students. And in 8 years, we lost 1,000.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Hazel told us about when we met with her shortly after she supplied this information, she said, since 2021, basically after COVID, our biggest problem in our drop in student population is competition.
Yeah.
And if you remember her numbers, she had non-public, homeschool, and residential births as being the three things that are hurting us the most. And when I did some work for Hazel, I had no clue about the new schools that had propped up since 2022. There's 3 of them, and they are capturing our kindergartners.
Yeah, exactly.
And whether it is because of faith-based, home-based, a different type of curriculum, they are capturing our kindergartners. And what people need to think about, that's 13 years of that student, that group of students going through a system that never walk in the front door of our schools. That's a long 13 years. It has a significant impact on how we either are surviving or shrinking. And she also is showing that in 10 years, we're going to be down potentially another 1,300 students. Now, if you do the math.
100 a grade.
Huh?
100 a year.
That's 100 a year. If you do the math, if Minnesota public school per student funding stayed flat for the next 10 years, that's $17 million in lost revenue. That's probably 170 teachers are not going to have a job in 10 years in our district. So the real battle is, what are we going to do to combat, one, the competition, Because I think we can figure that out. But what we cannot figure out, and was one of the things that Hazel brought up that I think is really, really critical, is the drop in fertility. When you go from 2.11 to 1.73, that is a significant shift in childbearing births. The number of kids being born is dropping significantly. That has a ripple effect for this entire district. That's every year, 13 years in a row, there's less kids in our building. And we're gonna have some really, really hard decisions to make. Because with 2,000 less kids in 20 years, you look at our facilities, you look at the programs, you look at what can we offer that's gonna be competitive? How are we gonna manage that shift? Even if half of it is accurate, that's still 100 kids every other year. And our difficulty is going to be in how to address it. And it's gonna take some courage, it's gonna take some creativity, and it's gonna take some reality. Because from my perspective, we have yet to hit the bottom, and when we do, it's gonna hurt if we don't do something different. And it's not just about finances, but it's about how do we reconstruct some of our schools that are gonna have very, very few kids in it, some of our elementaries. How do we maintain competitive programming and opportunities for kids as the number shrinks? We're gonna face a problem that a lot of school districts are going to face. We just have to figure out, what do we want to do about Brainerd Public Schools? What's the best path we can take to combat a very difficult challenge? Because we can't fabricate kids, you know? We can't fabricate the numbers. And it's going to be really difficult to come up with some creative decisions. And one of the other last thing I'll just bring up, she said that the population of Crow Wing County in our district is actually going to grow, but they've got hair like me. You know, I live in a neighborhood of 27 new homes. Out of the 27 new homes, one of them has 2 kids. The rest of us are 55 to 75 years old with no kids. That's becoming kind of the direction things are going. So the challenges are there. The knowledge is now here. Question is, what are we going to do about it?
Madam Chair? Thank you for enlisting this study. I mean, it's sobering,
Yeah.
eye-opening, and you had some forethought. Let's see what's going on. So
Right.
thank you for doing that, Peter.
Yes, thank you.
It's not good numbers.
The sad thing about it is you heard what Hazel said about apartments. And I read a thing, and I think I'm gonna screw it up. But I think in the 70s that our average people could buy a house, and it was a year and a half their salary.
Yeah.
That's what that house cost them. And today's world, it's like 5.5. So, you know, I don't wanna get into getting crazy, which, you know, I have a tendency to do. But there's too many rules, there's too many regulations. It's just gotten so expensive to build anything that these kids can't afford to have these kids. Daycare, Minnesota is in the top high, like the 3rd highest in the United States in daycare because of all the new regulations that came out, like, I don't know, Peter, when was that, 5, 6, 8 years ago?
Yeah.
And so that's all of a sudden, you know, it's like they almost can't afford to have babies. And, you know, and then of course we got the competition from, which I think started with a lot of COVID. A lot of people got disenfranchised with schools, but we could fix some of this. I don't think it's all doom and gloom, and I think we just gotta get a little more competitive and make sure we're offering the right stuff that families wanna get their kids back in Brainerd schools. We've always been the shining school on the hill and still are, and I think we can just gotta steal them back from these private schools. What are the 3 new private schools? You got Star A.
Star A, Pinnacle, and
Discovery
Oak Grove, or Oak,
They've been around.
But yeah.
what's that?
Well, it was
Yeah.
Well,
it was
Star A.
organic something. It's now some kind of Christian school.
Yep, Star A changed their name.
Organic roots.
organic
Yeah.
growth or something.
Yeah.
So just those three schools popped up since 2022. And it's not cheap to start a school. I want you to know it's really difficult. They're being successful because they're capturing our kindergartners. And then, like I said, it's tough to get them back.
Really tough to move them.
Yeah.
And we all know St. Francis is intending to expand to a K-12 shortly. And so there's another battle. And I personally, competition I think is great. Question is, are we gonna rise to the competition? Or are we gonna just say, well, we're good enough, we'll just slug along? I think we have to go after it like, you know, it's fourth down. We got 15 yards to go. And punting isn't the answer. We have got to get really, really creative and take on the competition and find out what do we do that is gonna be better, that's more attractive, and will keep our students here.
Thank you. Thank you, Hazel.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Again, sorry about all the coughing.
No worries.
Okay, I'm going to sign off.
See you, Hazel.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, up next, we've got the American Indian Parent Advisory Committee. We've got the vote of concurrence/non-concurrence. And to just give a little bit of background, yes, please grab that chair. This is for the group, this is an annual presentation that this group brings. And the district has a partnership with APAC through our coordinator, Shayla Boudreau. And they come and present to the board their vote of concurrence or non-concurrence and recommendations for continued partnership with a common goal of supporting Indigenous students and families. And there is a rubric that they work from to help us understand where we're at and how we're doing.
So it's just saying that we presented to you guys and what the vote was, and then 411 is what their response was due.
Okay, thank you.
We need another one.
So welcome APAC Group. Thanks for joining us.
We're gonna make sure this microphone works. These will pick up?
Yeah, they'll all pick you guys all up.
Oh, great.
And spread them out a little bit this time.
All right, we're making sure we get everybody up here. Okay, so Bujuka Kanawia, hello everyone. Nijukawikwe Nindugu Ojibwemong, Minawa Govinda Boudreau, Indijna Kajaganashimong. Gawababi Ganikung Nindunjaba Idash, Oshki Odena and Da, Nigazi Nundudame. I have 3 children that have graduated from this district, and I have a granddaughter that is a first grader in Nisswa Elementary, all a part of Indian education programming.
Buju Wasamukwe Indigenous Cost Makwan do Dame Chiminising and Dunjaba Oshkion Dana Indao. My name is Michelle Berger. I've addressed you all before. I also have graduated my children from this district. I also have brought my nephews up in the school system, and we are here to once again figure out ways to collaborate to bring our American Indian Parent Committee to light, to share with you what our findings are from that rubric.
Amy Gardapi. I am an Indigenous parent within the district and also a special education teacher at Lowell Elementary. I've been lucky enough to join the APAC and how we can do better for all of our Indigenous students.
Bonjour, and then we might go to Nijgaba with Indigenous cause Makundu then. Baba, they're gonna come you don't you bow. Anishnabe, and I am the proud parent of a Brainerd High School graduate. He is currently in his 3rd year
doing well at the University of Minnesota. I am a grandmothered in APAC member, and I'm really proud to be here, and I'm very grateful for your listening ears today. And thank you for your time and the energy that you return to us as you listen.
Hello, my name is Pam Bolio. I am not Indigenous. However, I was married to a man for 43 years before he passed who was, which means our 3 children and 10 grandchildren are enrolled in 2 different tribes, one over in Mille Lacs and the other 9 up in Red Lake, which is why I get to be part of this great organization. Currently, I have 5 grandchildren in the district, so I have a very much invested interest in what happens here. Thank you.
My name is Cameo Ellis. I am also not Native American, but my other half is, and so are our 2 daughters that we share. I have one 9-year-old who is a 4th grader at Harrison, and one 3-year-old who will be going to Harrison most likely when she hits that age.
Mbashi Kwe Indigenous Cause, Migazito Dam. I'm actually a community member. I retired from Mille Lacs. I used to teach at Neoshin. And there's lots of our students that have come over here, and so I'm a community member that is looking out for being Indigenous myself. Like, I count all of them as my children, and so yeah, I'm a part of APAC because I want to help make a difference for the children that I had and the children that are all coming up. Miigwech.
Nivingiza Sikwe, Indigenous Cause, Makwa Ndudame, Aushki Odena, Indunjaba. My name is Summer Finde. I am a mom to a 10th grader here in the district, and I'm also a social worker working with many of our Indigenous students within the district. My daughter receives Indian Ed services and supports and special ed services within the district as well. Great.
Oh, me. Okay, we are starting with things that we are thankful for in the district and offering of a SEMA. The APAC acknowledges our district for their achievements and accomplishments in the building of relationships, community partnerships, and growth this year. We would like to share these 7 miigwetches.
Miigwech to our Indian education staff, Shayla, Chastity, and their supervisor, Jessica. They consistently go beyond expectations to center community voices, build strong relationships, and advocate for our Indigenous students and families. Additionally, Jessica shows up to our meetings without any assignment to our committee other than her willingness to listen, to learn, and to connect. Miigwech, we recognize that the district has increased their training in targeted times surrounding Indigenous Peoples Day. Miigwech to our Dreamcatcher team for continuing district-wide implementation and to our elementary schools for their partnership. We are especially grateful to our elementary school psychologists for bridging school preparedness and family support through their relationships with Indigenous education staff.
Miigwech, we recognize the efforts of our elementary schools to work in partnership with the Indigenous education staff to support Indigenous students while creating spaces that offer both windows and mirrors. We hear from Indigenous families how supported they feel within our elementary schools. Miigwech to the Brainerd Learning Center for implementing meaningful restorative practices by engaging students in community, shared understanding, and respectful communication. These efforts strengthen students' minds and support their growth as whole people. Miigwech, we were excited to see that after over 4 years, the Gitche Zibi, the only Ojibwe name building our community, has finally received its signage. Miigwech to our Indigenous Education High School student liaison for embracing their leadership role and working collaboratively with peers to bring forward meaningful input that guides our program, identifies gaps within our system, and entrusts us to uplift their voices.
We understand that when we start off in this way of first offering this SEMA that elevates our conversations, and that what we ask for in this good way is to be heard and in partnership support positive growth in the district. This is the way that we have begun every year for the past 8 years. In that time, this request has extended beyond this boardroom, calling in families to join in this work. As you can see, the growth of even this. Families that have enrolled their children because of the positive dialogue, volunteers and state leaders that have provided immense support to the district and Indigenous students. We would like to reiterate that we intentionally try to walk into this room keeping our feet well grounded in our responsibilities walking this earth. Those responsibilities include the teachings of the grandfathers: honesty, love, courage, truth, wisdom, humility, and respect. When we come, we have heard that some view this as contentious or take our honesty and truth as individual criticism. We always try to walk with the courage and humility to respect and love each other in this process. We are only sitting opposite you because that is the way the system is designed, not because it is oppositional in our hearts and minds.
The APAC exists out of leadership of those that came before us to establish the statutory requirements of having collaboration and advisement from the caregivers of Indigenous students in the district. The critical nature of the relationship is reciprocal. Each year, the APAC community is asked to vote on whether the district is following all of the statutory requirements and meeting the needs of the Indigenous students. Through our responsibilities to try to live by the 7 teachings we just described, we are compelled to respond with honesty and truth to this vote. We have provided the rubric provided by the MDE that we utilize to evaluate the district. The district does not have to wait for our official vote to determine where the district lies in this work. This is and always has been the district's responsibility to follow state statutes. We acknowledge that the district leadership has completed the rubric in years past. We have not been informed that this district has continued to evaluate their progress independently. We would appreciate being in positive collaboration towards generating the type of education that nourishes bright futures for all children. We know there are individual efforts and individual apathy. This is fundamentally about systems change that is generated from the roots and supported from the very top of leadership. Beyond individuals, how this work is being held up for those that want to support children, and including an overview of what is being taught to support consistency and shared understanding. Oops, did I miss it? I changed.
Being corrected.
Oops. Oh, I'm sorry, I flipped my page wrong. How is being corrected with those that perpetuate inequities in the system, knowingly or unknowingly? We would like to begin by reviewing last year's recommendations, the district's responses, and the impact of any resulting changes. The APAC's recommendation and district response will be visually summarized on the slides for the sake of time. We are just going to review the APAC's analysis of the district response and impact.
Recommendation number 1. The district has not taken meaningful steps to address the concerns raised. While the response acknowledged the recommendation, it did not identify the initiatives or structures to ensure continued involvement from district leadership or to support Indigenous education and APAC in having an active role in curriculum development related to Indigenous peoples. As a result, the original concern remains unaddressed.
Recommendation 2, the district's written response did not reflect the full context of the issue or the work that followed. Last year, a discrepancy of 62 Indigenous students was identified in the district's MARS count. Corrective steps were implemented, including establishing an annual data review meeting during reporting periods between Indigenous education staff and MARS coordinator, which began this year. The district's response referenced general MARS procedures, but did not acknowledge the discrepancies, the collaborative work that occurred, or the corrective actions taken. Responses to APAC recommendations should reflect both policy and practice.
Recommendation 3. We appreciate the intentional design of in-service days to support staff as curriculum additions are implemented and hopes this continues. However, the dismantling of the Indigenous Peoples Day Committee eliminated a formal structure for collaboration with the Indigenous Education and APAC, limiting shared plan and alignment. We also request greater transparency regarding Indigenous Peoples Day content across buildings, including an overview of what's being taught to support the consistency and shared understandings.
Recommendation 4. The district stated that succession planning and training are occurring. However, our lived experience does not reflect consistent implementation. Regular district attendance at APAC meetings and targeted training for HR, the superintendent, school board members, and the executive director of schools on Indigenous students and applicable statutes would support sustainable practices. We ask the district to move beyond intent and toward full implementation and actualization of the statutes.
What we just reviewed were last year's APAC recommendations and district response with the APAC's recent analysis. This year, for the 8th consecutive year, APAC has again voted unanimously for non-concurrence. In alignment with the district's 2023 to 2028 strategic plan, which centers student belonging, safety, accountability, and closing opportunity gaps, APAC is bringing forward a new set of recommendations. These recommendations are intended to continue advancing the work and to move the district beyond partial compliance toward full implementation of its responsibility to all students, consistent with both the statutory requirements and the district's stated strategic commitments. This year's recommendations.
Recommendation number 1, attendance data. The committee requested attendance data broken down by race, which is indicated on the rubric indicator number 32 as full implementation. We were told this data can only be pulled by individual buildings and not at the district level. Without district level attendance data broken down by race, it is hard to see patterns, understand disparities, or fully meet the intent of this indicator. For this reason, the committee recommends that the district begin putting systems in place to allow district-wide review of attendance data by race. This will support better decision-making and help move the district toward full compliance.
Recommendation number 2, discipline data. Indicator 31 calls for the regular review of American Indian student discipline data, including suspensions, expulsions, and referrals to law enforcement. While we acknowledge that the district has made efforts to improve discipline data overall, important gaps remain. When the committee requested information regarding law enforcement involvement, we were informed that this data is not available within district systems and would need to be requested from local law enforcement. Because school-related arrests and referrals are required to be reported to Minnesota Department of Education, this highlights a need to strengthen how this information is tracked, retained, and reviewed at the district level.
Based on the data provided, the district does not currently have a consistent way to review discipline incidents by race or cultural identity, or to examine patterns related to students being harmed or repeatedly targeted. Without this information, it's difficult to identify system-level issues or understand how repeated harm may contribute to discipline outcomes for Indigenous students. Indigenous families have also raised concerns regarding discipline occurring during school-sponsored after-school activities, including sports and extracurricular programs. Because these activities are school-sponsored, we want to ensure that the discipline incidents occurring in these settings are consistently documented within the district's systems, including Skyward, and reported as required by the Minnesota State High School League in alignment with statutory requirements. Indicator 31 calls for discipline data to be reviewed by race to guide improvement. The district's strategic plan also commits to student belonging, safety, and data-informed decision-making. To support these goals, the committee recommends that the district continue strengthening its discipline data systems by establishing a centralized, consistent process to review law enforcement involvement and strict-wide discipline patterns impacting Indigenous students.
Recommendation 3, leadership engagement with Indigenous communities. Indicator 22 addresses how district and school leadership engage with Indigenous community organizations. While we appreciate the efforts of the individual staff who built relationships on their own, this recommendation focuses on the responsibility of the district and school board leadership. The strategic plan highlights belonging, trust, and collaboration with families and communities. These values require visible and consistent leadership presence. Trust in Indigenous communities is built over time through showing up, listening, and following through. Indicator 22 makes it clear that community engagement should not depend on an individual choice or availability. When leadership involvement is inconsistent, trust is harder to build and maintain. For this reason, the committee recommends that the district set clear expectation for regular school board and district leadership positions in appropriate spaces, including American Indian Parent Advisory Committee meetings. This supports stronger relationships, accountability, and aligns with district goals.
Recommendation 4? Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Can I just borrow
Slide
yours?
13.
Okay. Oh, it's different. That's a different one. Okay, indicator 28 connects directly to the district's commitment that all students feel safe, seen, known, and valued, and that decisions are guided by meaningful data. If Indigenous student satisfaction were formally tracked, clear patterns in student experience would become visible. Without, oh, gee.
I know. It should be
I'm the oldest member. Many Indigenous students report that Indigenous education is the main place where they feel safe and supported. At the same time, trust in the larger system has been harmed by experiences with racial harassment that were not addressed effectively. Collecting student satisfaction data would help show how Indigenous education supports positive outcomes such as better attendance, engagement, and graduation rates. Do all of this? Just to there. Okay. Listening to student voices is a widely accepted best practice in education. For this reason, the committee recommends that the district create a formal process to collect student satisfaction data with the ability to review results by student group and use this information to guide district-level decisions.
We are also calling for district accountability. Families have clearly expressed fear and concerns related to ICE. And while those concerns have been heard, there have been no clear or public district response. Explaining how students are being protected at school, on school transportation, or in school sanctioned events, including out of school or after school activities, silence is not neutral. In the absence of clear communication, fear grows, trust erodes, and families are left to assume the worst. This places an unfair burden on students to carry anxiety while attempting to learn. The district strategic plan commits to the student safety, belonging, and transparent communication during times of concern. This moment requires more than reassurance, it requires clarity. We are asking for a clear, documented response that outlines protocol, protections, and how the district is responding to families' fears so that students are not expected to simply endure them.
Before closing, we want to share why these recommendations matter beyond compliance, data, or process. What follows reflects the lived experience of Indigenous students and the conditions under which Indigenous education is currently being asked to operate. A forest cannot regenerate while clinging to what is already dead. In nature, renewal requires fire. Old growth must fall, decay, or be cleared so that light can reach the ground and new life can take root. Without that process, the forest becomes crowded, brittle, and incapable of healthy growth. Indigenous education in this district is being asked to grow while remaining bound to outdated systems that were never built to serve Indigenous students. We are expected to produce new outcomes without being allowed to separate from old structures, old power dynamics, and old ways of operating. That is not growth, that's containment. One of our students stated that Indian education is the only place that they feel they can truly breathe, belong, and be seen. That is not a success story, it's a warning. It means a small clearing exists, but the larger system remains inaccessible and unchanged. New growth will not occur unless and until there is a willingness to let go of what no longer serves our students. Fire is not destruction for its own sake, it's necessary for renewal. Until this district is willing to separate from systems that perpetuate harm and exclusion, Indigenous education will remain confined to the margins, growing despite the forest, not because of it. Miigwech, Bizendawi, thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Can I just be reminded what the process is after this?
But to respond.
The district responds then to the,
Yeah, so what will happen is today, we're gonna sign just that acknowledgement that we have made the vote that we have.
Okay.
And so we'll be signing, you'll be signing, I think, and that form is here with.
So,
Yep, it's right
Director
here.
Spear has the form,
Okay.
so I'll have Director Spear and then Superintendent Grants sign it,
Okay.
and then our chair will also sign it, so that'll get submitted to the states, and then April 11th is the due date for your guys' response, and that's
Yes.
also
You have 60 days
60 days.
in
It's
which
not
to
defined by school
respond.
days, it's 60
Yeah.
okay.
days. So that's right before your April 13th board meeting, I apologize.
Good timing.
So it's on a Saturday?
It is on a Saturday, but it's due.
Okay,
It's the 13th, it's okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
yes.
The only other thing that we wanted to just acknowledge is that you do have these tobacco ties, these Asema ties, and you can either take them, open them up, put them near a tree or that kind of thing, or we could take them back and take care of them for you, if that's what you want to do, or if you receive them in any other way.
And what does putting them by a tree signify or mean?
It's how we take care of it, like typically
Okay.
you're in a fire, water, or putting it near a tree, places that they're not gonna be like trampled on or that kind of thing. And so it's just
Is
taking
it
care
like-
of it in a good way.
Okay, so like loving the earth or, no?
I mean, it's kind of like accepting that gift that it was
Oh,
given in
okay.
a good way.
Okay,
And taking, like, so that you're not just.
got it.
Like, it should never be thrown in the trash or just outside carelessly, like, it's very intentional.
So honoring this gift that was
Yes.
given to us,
We
okay.
appreciate that.
Okay.
And so if you do want us to take it back and take care of that, we can do that. If you want to take care of it in your own way, then that's okay too. We just want you to be aware of that.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing this to us tonight. I know we've had some fits and starts in how we've been working together and how this is going, and we appreciate your candor and your continued hard work in partnership with Shayla and Chastity. So thank you for this.
Miigwech.
Yeah.
Hey, that's fine.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, in Ojibwe.
Okay.
Good question.
Please, Nestor. All right, let's see. Moving on, we have nothing for old business, but moving into new business. We have first the approval of the administration recommendation to issue a 2025-26 contract to the following staff member that was missed, resulting in the granting of tenure, and that person was Sarah Vang, and we apologize that we overlooked that, but we are adding it to the agenda now, and I would look for a motion for that.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Director Ward, a second from Director Dondelinger. Any further discussion? If not, we'll do a roll call vote.
Michelle Brecken,
Yes.
TJ Dondelinger.
Yes.
Stephanie Etterman,
Yes.
Randy Heidman,
He's gone.
Sarah Spear,
Yes.
John Ward,
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And the second item we have was moved from the consent agenda, the BHS curtain replacement, the Forest View curtain replacement, and the Forest View boiler upgrades.
So what are you flattened?
I will be.
Mercy. Peter Mercy.
Here comes
So-
Marcy.
I'll do my best.
I don't think it's gonna be that tough for you. So we're paying for this out, I'm assuming out of the LTFM
Yes.
money, the new LTFM money that we're getting?
Correct.
And so what are we trying to do? Just like get ahead and get as much stuff done as we can before they decide to take that away from us too?
So the current equipment is 20+ years old and failing. And then the water heater is the original, the FMS, and is also failing, and we lost one of our water heaters.
Is it a water heater or is it heat the school?
In this, he said water heater.
It's probably a hot water boiler, don't you think?
That's what it says, it's a boiler.
Boiler.
So it'd probably heat the school too.
Yeah.
I'm
I
guessing.
think so.
I hope so. It's
Yeah.
$1 million.
And as far as like if there's concerns about the spending, so we levied those dollars. So if we don't spend it, then there'll be a big adjustment on the levy. So we don't want to underspend that.
Always a smart way to do things.
Yeah.
Marcy, how old again is Forest View?
22.
Yeah.
22, okay.
Oh my word, my kids were one of the first ones there.
What?
My kids were one of the first ones at that school.
Yeah, Katie and Max.
Yeah, Katie and Max.
So this isn't coming off our general budget or anything like that, yeah, that's the point.
Right.
Well, I'll make a motion, we approve the purchases of the BHS curtain, the Forest View curtain replacement, and the boiler upgrade.
All right, we've got a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We've got a motion by Director Brecken and a second by Director Dondelinger. Any further discussion? Thank you, Marcy. I'm going to abstain because one of those is the Sourcewell contract. We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Gigi Dondelinger,
Yes.
Stephanie Etterman,
Yes.
Randy Heidman,
I was gone, so I will vote not present or whatever. I don't know what I'm voting on.
It's on those curtains and the boiler at Forest View, and that's coming out of LTFM funds, not our general fund.
Oh, okay,
So that's
okay.
the
okay.
LTFM money we have to spend on the buildings.
Gotcha, nope, cool, yeah, okay, yeah, fine, yes.
Sarah's abstaining, John Ward,
Yes.
Jill Brecken.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, we'll move on to informational meetings or informational reports. The first one up is Christina Lundgren with the winter screening data report.
Hey,
Welcome.
all right, I think it's public. Okay, so we decided, just as a note for the public, to move the screening data, our FastBridge screening data, into the informational section, just because this is a quarterly report at this point in time, so we moved it out of the presentation just to the report for the update section. So with our winter screening, the winter screening window was December 2nd through January 9th this year. Just a note, we did move the screening date earlier this year from last year. Last year it was January 6th through January 27th. That was in part, last year was our first year with the early reading assessments that we did. And with some of the feedback from the elementary sites, they had wanted to try moving it earlier in the year before winter break. So we did complete that assessment 1 month earlier than we did last year. A couple of celebrations that we wanted to call out from our fall to winter data. Second grade reading and math proficiencies increased from the fall, and our grades 9 and 10 reading proficiencies increased from the fall, so to call out those grade levels. Also something to celebrate when we look at the year-to-year data, so last winter to this winter, looking at the reading grade level cohorts, 8 out of the 11 grade cohorts did have an increase in their percentage of students proficient from last winter to this winter, so looking at those two data points. And then looking at the math cohort data, 6 out of 11 of the grade cohorts had an increase in their percentage of proficiency from last winter to this winter. So just to call out a couple of those celebrations. Our spring screening window will be April 20th through May 18th. So we'll have an update after that window is complete. Any questions?
I guess I would have just one, and that is, what plans, I mean, I'm looking at from fall of 25 to winter, are there any plans to, because we're down, what is it, 4%, 62%, 58%? And, you know, is there anything showing what's happening, Christina? I mean, is there anything that board can do? Is there anything, it just seems like it's kind of a, is it something to do with the READ Act and all this training and all that stuff too?
Yeah, so I mean, I can speak to the fact that, you know, if we're looking at reading specifically, as we've talked about last year, our K-6 teachers and special ed teachers and leadership participated in the OLA training around structured literacy. This year is really our first year of implementing those instructional strategies. And it is a learning curve. We started slow. So at the elementary level, we started looking at the word study, what happens in small group. Then we've layered in some vocabulary and comprehension as we've moved through the year. So we are just in the beginning stages of implementing those strategies. The feedback at the classroom level is that teachers are seeing a change in what students are doing in the classroom. It might not be showing up on our data yet, but there is that observational data at the classroom level, but that they're seeing changes as we're implementing those practices. The second layer to that is we're also in the process of reviewing curriculum resources for K-4 literacy. So we had a steering committee that looked at the list options provided by MDE and did a very significant review of those resources. And they've narrowed it down to 2 options that are now in front of our teachers. So the last few weeks, teachers have been looking at those resources. And then we'll be reviewing the feedback on that. So that would be the next step in the process. So as we're kind of moving forward, started with implementation of strategies, looking at resources, and then just continue to do that work as we move into spring and into next year. So we're hoping that over time, the student data will show on our screening. It's just that the data piece is the last thing that we see a change in with that implementation.
Besides more funding, is there anything we as a board can help with or?
I think it's really just being champions for the work that our teachers are doing and know that we are learning together, we're trying different strategies, we're having conversations, we're looking at data, we're looking at shifts so that we can provide better opportunities for our students and move us forward. So just continue to be champions and ask the questions.
How important do you think EAs in the K1, 2, and 3? I mean, do you think that there's a significant benefit?
I feel like that's a loaded question, and I'm not sure that I'm the best one to answer.
No, I didn't mean it to be loaded. I'm just wondering. Well, let me ask it this way: more assistance in the classroom in K through 3 would be most assuredly welcome. Correct?
I think teachers would say that, yes.
Yeah. Yes. I wasn't trying to. I wasn't trying to do anything from that. It was just a question that more assistance would be helpful. Yeah.
Great. Anything else?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Christina, is I just lost my thought. train of thought. The curriculum, the reading curriculum, we've gotten down to 2 different products now. Are both of those products increasing phonetic awareness and phonetic techniques?
Yes, so both of the options that we're reviewing, they were vetted through the MDE process. So that foundational literacy skills was a component that was included. So both the resources that we're looking at, they're a comprehensive K4, so they have the foundational skills, which is the phonics, phonemic awareness, and then they also have the knowledge building piece of it as well.
Thank you. And Christina, I heard you say that a number of grade levels have improved their scores from last year. So anytime any grade level in any curriculum area increases is cause to celebrate. And so kudos to those educators that are moving that target upward, and we appreciate that. And Director Heidemann, yes to your question.
Which one, John?
You know which one.
No, I know.
Teaching assistants in K3.
I got you, buddy.
Great. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Next up, we've got the Brainerd Public Schools Foundation report out. Director Ederman.
Okay. The Brainerd Public Schools Foundation is a not-for-profit organization that exists to support the students of the Brainerd Public Schools. We primarily do this through grants, scholarships, and special projects and programs. So far this year, BPSF has awarded nearly $70,000 through our 4A grants program. The 4A grants benefit our students through arts, academic, athletics, and activities. Our final grant cycle for 2025-2026 will close on 3/17. Educators, staff, and coaches are encouraged to apply for special projects or programs to enhance opportunities for our kids. The BPSF general application for scholarship closes on 3/17 as well. Last year, BPSF awarded over $220,000 in scholarships. All seniors graduating from Brainerd Public Schools are encouraged to apply. The 13th annual big event is coming on 2/21. Tickets are still available on the PBSF.org website. We are still accepting auction donations and sponsorships. The auction goes live on 2/17 at 10 a.m. There's a fantastic variety of experiences, baskets, sports, theater, and museum tickets, gift cards, and much more. Funds raised support BPSF and our mission. The big event, I believe, is out at Grandview this year, so go and check on the website. It's always been a great event.
It always sells out, it seems like.
Yeah.
And the theme is Olympic?
Yeah, the Olympics.
The Olympics?
Yep.
Okay.
Great, thank you. All right, up next, we've got the Safe and Welcoming Schools Committee / Wellness Task Force updates. From
Okay,
Dr.
so
Brecken.
on the Safe and Welcoming Schools Committee, we met last week. We worked on and brainstormed how to best use data to meet the needs of each student using asset-based thinking, which is focusing on strengths and to build academic and social emotional growth. That's Safe and Welcoming Schools. The Wellness Task Force meets February 17th, so we have not met since the last school board meeting, but we'll be meeting next week.
Great, thank you. And the Business Services Report, Superintendent Grant has your name by it. Director Lord.
We're going to the.
He was hoping she'd get out of it this
Thanks a lot, Ryan. So in your report is the financial report. Just wanted to note that the building construction fund is higher than last year by about lower than last year by about 5%, and it's just timing of projects. Then the debt service difference is it's up 2%, and that was due to the refunding that we just did in December. So those are tracking well. And then the enrollment report, when we look at that, starting from the beginning of the school year, we're down 110 K through 12. The 5-year average is 67, so it is high, and it's in the higher grades, so 9 through 12. So just, we're gonna keep monitoring that. And I'll have better numbers actually with the budget revision, which will be coming up next month. And then the board asked for a budget update, so I'm just giving a very brief overview. Some of the changes that were made on there is we're looking at the gen ed revenue, kindergarten specifically, and then also looking at our FTE currently as well at multiple sites. We'll be able to have more specific numbers once we know which positions, which we don't have nailed down yet. So the current projected unassigned deficit for 26-27 is about 1.9 million. And you guys are gonna see that it's gonna keep going up and down as we go through the next couple of months based on the information that we get. It's constantly, we have retirements, resignations, new information maybe on enrollment.
Well, it's
So,
nice to know, though. It's a big improvement.
yep, it is.
What is the building construction fund? Is that the Blueprint 181 money?
Yes.
So we're about out.
We're at about 2.4 million, I believe. So that's the budget, that's not
Not the
actually our
balance.
cash balance, yep. So that one is one that, we
What
would
did we
be.
spend the money on in December? I don't remember voting on these things.
A lot of it's furniture, trying to think other things that don't require board approval. Furniture is the big one.
400,000.
Furniture, and I think that there was something at Forest View. I'd have to go back and look.
Well, could you email it out to us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Director Ward.
Marcy, I have just a budget question as well.
Yeah.
What was our cross subsidy, last year?
You're gonna put me on the spot like that, John?
Well, send me, I've asked for that information. I haven't gotten it yet.
Yes.
So, so if you could send me, the amount of cross subsidy last, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Marcy. I just need that information.
Yep.
So, if you could send me the information on cross subsidy last
Yep.
year,
Yep.
and then also, as it has looked for the last 10, decade or so per
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you.
Jen and I can touch base on, I wasn't exactly sure who was gonna respond on that one, so,
Thank you.
yeah.
Any other questions for Director Lord? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mars.
Thank you.
All right, and the superintendent's report.
Last week, I had the enjoyment of going to Baxter, Riverside, and Nisswa as they did their Glow Run days. If you haven't been to one, you need to go to one. Yeah, I don't know who got pooped up more, the teachers or those who were in blow-ups. But it's a great fundraiser. I think Baxter was in the high 40s. Nisswa was in the mid to upper 50s, and Riverside was in the mid to upper 50s as well in fundraising. All that money really is driven by PTO actions. And the kids have a great time, the teachers have a great time, and the other elementaries, their Glow Runs will be coming up. So if you want to just come and watch or join, you certainly can. You can walk, you don't have to run, Randy.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then, I think it was last Wednesday, the Wind Symphony did their concert at noon because they couldn't perform in the cities. It was really phenomenal. They did 8 songs, and I think they averaged, or 8 pieces. They did, I think they averaged between 3 and 4 minutes each. I mean, if you were there and you got a chance to watch Chris orchestrate, I mean, afterwards I asked him, so are you exhausted or are you really stiff and tired after you get done? Because he's quite animated in front of his kids, but it was really well done. I mean, those kids were outstanding, and it's really unfortunate they didn't get a chance to perform in the cities, but they were outstanding. It was really fun to listen to. And we had a really good student audience there, so it was quite impressive.
Yeah, what a cool opportunity
Yeah.
too, to be chosen to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. We got some talent.
Yes, thank you. All right, we've got a list of future meetings there. The one on the list on February 16th, the Curriculum Instruction and Staff Development Committee meeting. There has been some conversation about adding the whole group to that. If that's a possibility.
It
and-
is, this, I was gonna say that meeting is scheduled Thursday.
Oh,
For
okay.
that. That's an error.
Okay.
If we want a Monday meeting, we can do that.
Does the 19th work for people? No.
Because of our student representatives, I would love to keep that separate from the full
The
group.
actual work
Mhm.
session?
Mhm.
Okay, yep, we can do that. Is there, but are people in office on Monday? Is it a holiday? I don't even know.
Well, Monday is President's Day.
But I mean, for the
We're
district?
working in this meeting.
Okay. So if we met on Monday, we could conceivably do that? Okay. You guys up for that? Meeting on Monday?
I'm sorry, are you talking about a work session, Sarah?
Yeah, meeting on Monday so that we can garner some more information about the Paul Bunyan Educational Co-op.
Yeah, I'm available.
So is that what the whole agenda is gonna be? We're just discussing that on Monday then, or all the other items that were removed?
I mean, that's the primary agenda item. It's a work session. Conceivably, we could add to that.
Okay. So has the time been set and all that stuff yet, or I'm not familiar with what's going on?
No, we haven't set a time and we're just talking about the date right now.
Very good, thank you.
Yep. So if that date works, okay? Does that work for,
It's fine with me.
okay. 8:30, just to keep it consistent with what's.
Sure.
8:30 to 10:30 on the outer edge.
So are we gonna talk about approving for the administration to pursue a legislative bill to transfer the 1 million? Are we gonna talk about that at that meeting as well?
We can add that to the agenda.
I would
It's a
like
work session.
to,
Okay.
yes. Yes, I would like that.
Okay. And if anything else comes to mind that we want to add to that time, feel free to,
The workshop.
send it to me or to Kelly.
So is the Curriculum Instruction Staff Development Committee meeting going to be moved to what date?
No, that is the 19th
That is the
already.
19th.
We scheduled it, that was a typo.
Yeah,
It's the 19th.
Not the 16th,
not the
Right.
16th.
At 8:30.
at 8:30, yeah, okay.
Okay. And so you guys can look over the other dates on the calendar, but those are the ones that I wanted us to get squared away. And we are gonna go into closed session, but before we do that, I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about, kind of give a synopsis of heading into closed session, or if you wanted John Edison to do that.
Well, it depends on what the board wants to know. We've been meeting with the teachers union, the EA union. We've been in mediation with both of them. 2 long days. Didn't really gain a lot of ground with the EAs. We are apart on the finances for the most part. With the teachers, we have quite a few language tentative agreements, but we are significantly apart on the finances. Jason put some data together. In the benefit side of things, we're kind of just a little bit over average, above the 50% side. On the benefit side, we are significantly higher than the average. And thus, that is our stumbling block. How to stay within the budget constraints we have, knowing that the benefit side of things is, and everybody knows this, it is out of control. And it's never going to change until something significant changes, probably legislatively. But that is what we want to talk about with you in closed session with John, our legal counsel and our head negotiator. I don't know, Jason, do you want to add anything?
Madam Chair, I just want to be careful about this, that, you know, we're not negotiating at a board meeting.
No, we're not.
Noted.
Okay.
Just to amplify or maybe clarify a comment that Peter made when he said salary is about 50%. That's actually like in HR, a lot of times you look at what's called the COMPA ratio, a compensation ratio, like how do your wages compare to the market? So if you're like exactly meeting the market, you'd be at 100%. If you're, 10% below the market, you'd be at 90%. And so with our teacher group, and we went online and looked at comparable data within our athletic department and neighboring school districts, and also enrollment-based comparables. And our beginning wage and our top end of the scale, we're like right around that 100%. So we're pretty much meeting the market on that min and the max. And we know that different schedules have longevity and how people move through the schedule and things like that. But just from a real objective kind of number to look at, that's the data that we found. For our, and as Peter mentioned, our benefit numbers are significantly higher across all groups. We do see with our hourly support staff, the wage component is significantly below market. And so that benefit and wage disparity is really an issue that we've talked about in bargaining, but it just, when you look at all of our data, that's where we're seeing some trends.
Thank you. We'll look for a motion to move into closed session.
Motion.
Second.
Got a motion from Director Gondelinger, a second from Director Heidman. Any further discussion? If not, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Stephanie Etterman,
Yes.
Randy Heineman,
Yes.
Sarah Spear,
Yes.
John Ward,
Yes.
Jill Brecken,
Yes.
Deidre Dondelinger.
Yes.
Thank you, Kelly.